So we're on our way to Menai to have a look at some tracks and take the car out.
Alright team, so we've arrived at Menai and it's ugly as and it's not getting any better, so we're going to be probably stuck inside the car, so we'll find somewhere else to give you guys a rundown from outside. But Jay, what's your favourite bits about the FJ? What do you like about the inside of it?
So probably the most handy thing for us is that there's no carpet throughout this car, so all the flooring and side panels, they're all easy to keep clean, especially with having Timo. He doesn't molt a lot, but he, if you've got dogs that do shed a little bit of hair, it's so much easier to be able to give it a clean. And then also if you're full driving as well, it gets quite dusty in here, so it's easy to wipe down as well.
So some of the other stuff that we've installed just to make life a bit easier when we're out on the road, we've put a couple of extra permanent USB charging slots in here to just keep all of our phones and other gadgets charged up. We've also got the LED bar on the front, so there's a switch down there for that to isolate it. That's linked into the high beam switch, pretty typical type setup. So one of the other handy things that we've put in is a dual voltage monitor. So it keeps track of both our main starting cranking battery as well as the second battery that we've installed, which runs all of our fridge and lights and stuff like that. So just a really handy monitor to be able to look down and see how that battery is going. We've got the crawl control system, which is really awesome. If you guys have seen that before, it's basically like a cruise control system for off-road. So you can dial in I think there's 5 different levels, speed levels that you can dial in, and it basically just manages your traction control and your throttle, so that you can manage those obstacles pretty much feet free and almost hands free. To be honest, it takes some of the fun out of it, so we use that sparingly. We've also got the active track control system, which is just awesome for off-road. We don't have a front diff locker, so that really helps keep us moving. And then lastly, we've got the rear diff locker as factory. So the rest of the FJ is pretty standard Toyota. We've got the standard cruise control, steering wheel controls, electric mirrors, etc. So it's all pretty standard. Other than that, everything's nice and easy to reach. It's a pretty comfy place to be honest, in the FJ. We've done a lot of miles on it, and it's always served us pretty well, hasn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
Yep.
Timo's set up in the back. We've got his pet hammock, so it lines the seats. It's all waterproof, so the good thing about it is, just because he is a bit awkward and he's got long legs, he gets off balance, so if he's standing up he can't fall. It comes all the way up and then goes to the back of our seat, so it's nice and contained. And we've just put his bedding in there. Depending on how long we're going for, we might deck it out a little bit more comfier for him on the longer trips. Otherwise, pretty standard. He's just got his bed and a blanket or a doona in the back there, and he finds that really comfy. He does take up the whole area, so there's no extra additions going to be fitting in there anytime soon.
Alright guys, the sun's finally out in Sydney, so I'm back out. Four-wheel drive track's going to take you through a quick rundown through our car. Okay, so it's a 2015 Toyota FJ Cruiser. It's a V6 petrol. So I think that's the sound of 90% of the Australian four-wheel drive community just dropping off this video, but stick with me. We don't do a lot of towing, so it's worked out pretty well. We saved a heap of cash getting one of these over, say, a Prado, for example. We were looking around, at those at the same time, but it's been really good for us. It's done 80,000 Ks, 5-speed automatic. It's the exact same driveline as the 120 series Prado, just a little bit shorter wheelbase, which works really well for the tracks. So obviously the petrol isn't everyone's favourite, but we get decent economy out of it. We usually get about 12 to 13 litres per 100 Ks on average. A little bit better if we're doing some longer miles, depending on how loaded up we are, and a little bit worse if we're just cruising around the city, but never really over 15 litres per 100, which is actually quite surprising and something we weren't expecting. And the 160 litre tank, obviously with that economy, means we get 1,200 kilometres out of a tank, which works out really, really well. And you can get unleaded pretty much everywhere. You can get diesel, even up north, so never been an issue for us. The V6's got plenty of grunt, never an issue overtaking slower vehicles or anything like that, particularly on some of our longer trips up north. It was an absolute blessing to have the extra power when you need it. Alright guys, so we're running a TJM T13 bull bar on the front. We don't have a winch yet, but that's next on our wish list. We've got the Cooper Discovery ST Maxes. They've done about 80,000 Ks as well with the car and still going pretty strong. I reckon we'll probably get another 5,000 to 10,000 Ks out of them before the next set. So the FJ is running a 2-inch lift. We've got Dobinson shocks. Keeps some pretty good road manners, to be honest. It's probably a bit of an upgrade from the stock feel on the road. Off-road, the 2-inch lift just gives us a nice bit of extra clearance underneath the car, and yeah, it takes us pretty much everywhere we need to go. Okay, we also had a Rhino Rack Pioneer platform, which was really cool. We had an awning and stuff hanging off that, but I've left it back in Perth because, to be honest, with all of the underground car parks and things like that in Sydney, we just weren't sure that we were going to get in to all of those places. So it's probably been the safe bet. Do miss the awning a little bit and the convenience of the rack, but we still make do. We just jam everything in the storage system in the back. Just see, we've got the little UHF mount, which is pretty awesome. Sits on the back, which means we've got a clear view over the front bull bar. So we're running the drifter drawers in the back, so we've got them made up to suit the 47 litre ARB fridge. So the fridge works on a slide system, locks out really well. Keeps the drinks and the food nice and cool. And then we've got 2 drawers, so a smaller drawer at the top. We run all of our electronics. We've got a silky saw to clear tracks if we ever get hung up on any logs. Then we've got a trestle table, so this pulls out. You can use it as a bit of a quick kitchen pull-out table if you want, or it's also got some legs underneath it if you want to pull it out and use it as a complete table. And then in the bottom drawers we run all of our heavy four-wheel drive gear, so we've got compressor, recovery equipment and tyre repair kit, etc. And then in the front of that section we also run all of our kitchen stuff, so we've got all of our cooking systems, we've got crockery, cutlery, etc. all in the front. Bottom drawer always keeps a couple of these ones handy as well. So what cookware we bring generally depends how long we're going to be away for. If we're just out for a quick overnighter, we might load up the fire pit, maybe the cast iron oven, or even the Weber if we're feeling like a decent roast for dinner. If we're going further out or for longer, we'll generally bring a couple of different things. One of the things that stays with us no matter what we're doing is one of these little hiking cook sets. So you've got a little pot and a little skillet and pan in there, and also a little burner. And that all hooks up to just one of your little hiking gas bottles. Over to the side here, we run a solar blanket. So I just pull that out. It's 120 watt, I think, from memory. We just pull that out if we're stuck anywhere or camping somewhere for a couple of days. We'll pull that out late in the sun. Usually gets about 7 or 8 amps into the battery as well. The sun's out. And that pretty much leaves all the rest of the area up the top to just jam full of our sort of more our lightweight stuff. So we'll put our sleeping bags, pillows, etc. up there. Jam some clothes in down the sides. So just behind the fridge, I've run all of the electrical gear. So I've got a distribution board for all the power that sits in behind the solar blanket. So everything's fused or circuit broken. So that's where we run the power from the fridge for. We've also got some 12-volt sockets and USB points up here to keep all the gadgets charged up. One of the quirky things with the FJ is this back window actually folds out. We haven't really found a use case for doing that yet, but it's there as an option if you ever want to use it. So we run a dual battery kit. Keeps us off the grid for probably up to a week, to be honest, with the solar panels if we get some nice sunny weather. And if that fails, then we've got the Red Arc DC to DC charger, the 25 amp version that sits behind the main battery here and sends power over to the secondary